Hello and welcome to Rathods Science Academy. Today in this session we are going to see current affairs of 9th August 2025. And before getting started, I wish you a very happy Raksha Bandhan for all of you guys. So let us see important topics which are appeared in our today's Hindu newspaper. Actually, there are very less number of articles which are relevant. So mostly you can see like political articles which are there in this newspaper, but don't focus on that. Only the articles which are relevant from your examination point of view, focus on those articles itself. Don't waste much time on this newspaper, guys. Okay, now let us see the first article. See the title. Modi Putin discuss Ukraine amid tariff row. So what is the keywords in this article? It is talking about India and Russia relations, right? Okay, let us see the keyword. The keyword in this article is India-Russia relations. So this article is important from which subject? From GS paper 2 under international relations. Okay, so if you see this India and Russia, so are we sharing direct boundary? No. So whenever we are talking about India-Russia relations, it comes under bilateral relations. So if you are sharing boundary with that country, then that is called as India and its neighborhood relations. So the country with which we are sharing our boundary, those countries, if you are talking about relations, that relations are called as neighborhood relations. If you are not sharing direct boundary, but if you are talking about that country and India's relations, that comes under bilateral relations. So in international relations, you will get every year 3 questions. So first one question is based on India and its neighborhood relations, that is with which country India is sharing its boundary. So from that one question will come like India Pakistan or India Bangladesh or India Myanmar, India Bhutan, India Nepal, like that. And second is India bilateral relations, you will get one question. They may ask India US relations or India Russia relations because these two are highly in news this year. And third question is India and organizations. So we will be having lots of organizations. For example, we are going to have SCO summit, that is Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit. So like that, if there is any grouping in news, you will be getting India and that grouping relations related mains question. For example, SCO, for example, G20, G7, G4 and RCEP, ASEAN. So like that, you will be getting questions on organizations plus policies. For example, we have neighborhood first policy which is seen in news and Act East policy. So like that, on this policies plus organizations, they'll ask you one question. So in this way, every year the weightage of this international relations is from 30 to 45 marks in your mains. And mostly the questions will come from current affairs only from this international relations. And not only from mains it is important, but from prelims also you will expect at least 2 to 3 questions every year based on map. So if there is any country which is in news, they will ask you like which are the countries sharing boundary or in which organization it is part of. If there is any summit which is in news, they will ask you the basic questions regarding that summit. So last year there was question regarding BIMSTEC. So like that, you have to focus on basics as well, guys. Okay, so now let us see what is the context now, why this India-Russia relations is in news. So as you all know that between India and US, tariffs, trade war is going on, right? So how much amount of tariff they are imposing now? So before this August, they said that we are going to impose 25%. And recently 2 days back, what is the update? From August 27th onwards, we are going to impose 50% of tariff. And what is the reason why they are imposing this tariff? One important reason is they want to go for trade balance. So with which countries they are having trade deficit, with that countries they want to focus on balancing of trade. That is the first important reason. And second one is protectionist policy. So this policy is nothing but they want to protect their own domestic industries. To protect USA's industries in USA, so they want to impose tariff on the goods which are coming from outside of their country. And third important reason is US wants to mediate Russia-Ukraine war and they want to hit Russia economically. So because of this, they came up with this Russia Sanction Act of 2025 and they said that the countries which are importing oil or natural gas from this Russia, they are going to get tariffs up to 500%. So now here initially they said 25%, but now they said 50%. The reason here is because of this Russia Sanction Act, the additional 25% of tariff that Indian goods are going to be attracted. Okay, so now because of this trade with Russia, we are going to attract this 50% of tariff, right? So what are the things that we are going to get from Russia? So if you see India-Russia relations now, so Russia is all-weather friend for India. So Russia helps India in all situations. For example, here we are getting crude oil. So how much percentage of crude oil that we are getting from Russia? Around 40% of crude oil we are getting from Russia, and that too at a discounted price. Price is less if you are getting from Russia. So apart from this, from which countries we are getting oil, crude oil? We are getting from Iraq, we are getting from Saudi Arabia, and even we are getting from some amount from Canada, some amount from USA also we are getting, but very less percentage. So mostly we are getting oil from this Russia itself. It is around 40% of India's oil. So why we are importing oil from other countries? So actually we have very less oil reserves in India, and we have mainly some oil reserves in western part and as well as northeastern part, and on this Godavari and Krishna basin we have. So only these areas we have oil reserves in India. And actually, do you know how much oil that we consume every day? So normally, to satisfy all the needs of the population of our country every day, we need 5.5 million barrels per day. 1 barrel is equal to approximately 159 liters, guys. So we need 5.5 million barrels per day. So here, whatever the reserves that we have, so we are producing just 0.6 million barrels per day in India. So output from India is 0.6, but we need 5.5. That means for sure we have to get from other countries. And we are not getting this crude oil from a single country like Russia. So we have diversified countries. Okay, and we'll get this crude oil, and this crude oil will be taken up by oil refineries, and they'll do this fractional distillation method, and they'll heat this crude oil at 250 to 300 degrees centigrade, and they may increase to 600 degrees centigrade, and based on the vapor at the different temperature, we are going to separate this diesel, petrol, kerosene, naphthalene, whatever it may be. Okay, so that is a process that we do, and we need approximately 5.5 billion barrels per day. Okay, so here what is happening here is we are importing from Russia, that is a discounted price, and even this oil we are getting from other countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and next one is we are getting some amount from US and some amount from Canada, like that. But the problem with these countries is they are not providing it at a discounted price. And here you can see the number, that is 5.5 million barrels we need, and only 0.6 million barrels that we are producing. That means we have to bring around 5 million barrels every day from outside. So if you are getting from a higher price, so is that feasible for our country? No. So we have to get that oil from the discounted price. So is there any alternative for India apart from Russia to bring this oil from other countries at that discounted price? No. So because of this, now what happened is, so India is starting negotiations with Russia regarding this Russia Sanction Act. So what things that India can talk in this meet? So actually why India is getting this 50% of tariff? It is because of Russia Sanction Act. What is the important aim of this act? To stop this Russia-Ukraine war. So here, if you want to avoid this tariffs, means what can we talk with Russia? Russia, please come down. Russia, please stop this war. If you are mediating that, then we can avoid this, so that it will be not having impact on our energy security. Clear? So that is the thing which is going on now. So we are talking with Russia regarding compromise for this Russia-Ukraine talks, and what are the developments that are happening between this Russia and Ukraine war. And even we are talking about some trade negotiations. So what are the alternatives we have apart from Russia to bring oil? So all these things that we are talking with Russia now. Clear? So this is very important development in this. India, US and India-Russia relations related to this Russian Sanction Act and as well as 50% tariffs on Indian goods. Clear? So now let us see this article, what it is saying exactly. So recent conversation between Indian Prime Minister and Russian President, they are going on talks because of this escalation of tensions between India and US. And US tariffs are imposed on India for its purchase of Russian oil. And we are getting around 40% of oil which is required for India from Russia, on which now US is going to impose 50% of tariff, and it is going to be effective from August 27th onwards. Okay, so this move is seen as an attempt to pressure India to reduce energy trade. So why US is imposing this tariff? It wants to pressurize India so that India will decrease its import from Russia, so that Russia's economy will be getting affected. So if economy will get affected, Russia will not afford war with this Ukraine. So finally they will come up with a compromise. So US wants to hit Russia economically. So for that it came up with this Russian Sanction Act. Okay. And if you see the key points of this discussion between Russia and as well as India, they talked about Ukraine conflict. The first one is Ukraine conflict. So Putin briefed Modi on latest developments in this Russia's ongoing conflict with Ukraine, and even Modi thanked this Putin for detailed assessment, and also he also advocated that we need to have the peaceful resolution for this issue because there is no choice for India. India has to again mediate with Russia for its betterment of its economy and betterment of its people, to control the prices, everything. And this one here is India, Russia also came up with strategic partnership. So both leaders, they reviewed that yes, we are good friends and historically we have good bilateral ties, and we also committed to deepening of special privileged strategic partnership. So we are going to come up with new agreements with this Russia now. And in which sector we are going to have these agreements? That is defense, trade, energy, technology. As you all know that we already signed a defense deal called as S-400 Triumph missile. It is called as Sudarshan Chakra of India. Why? Because in this Operation Sindoor, so this S-40 missile played a very, very important role. So if we had not have this S-400 missiles, so actually most of our western part have been damaged. But with this, yes, we are still stable now. And actually we ordered 5 S-400 air triumph missile system from this Russia, but we got only 3 now. Because of this Russia-Ukraine war, it had been delayed. And there are some recent estimates that are saying that by 2027, we are going to get them back. Okay, and we are going to have some other military collaborations even with this Russia now. So these are the things which mainly said in this article. And now let us see the next article. So you can see one very, very pretty image. So this image, it is about one festival which is mainly celebrated across this coast of Maharashtra. So if you are getting this kind of images, then you have to focus on which kind of festival is it, because you have to aware about which kind of festival, what is our art, what is our culture, everything. And this topic is also very important from your anthropology, guys. So actually we have different communities, different livelihoods, right? So based on their livelihood, they will celebrate the festivals. For example, if we have hunting and gathering societies, they will celebrate certain kinds of festivals. For example, if we have agriculture societies, they will celebrate harvest related or sowing related festivals. So this festival is related to fishing community, guys. Okay, this festival name is Narali Purnima. Okay, please make a note, Narali Purnima. So actually this festival is celebrated in this Maharashtra region. And actually this festival is celebrated to mark end of monsoon season. So actually what happens in this monsoon season? We'll get rainfall, right? So if we get rainfall, can this fishing community can dive into the water and can they go for fishing? No, right? So in this monsoon season, they will be getting lots of alerts regarding rainfall, increasing of sea level and waves, tides, everything. So because of this, they can't go for complete fishing in this monsoon season. They have to halt fishing in this monsoon season. So actually after the end of this monsoon season, this fishermen, then before starting their fishing, they'll do this festival. Okay, they'll celebrate this festival, guys. Apart, what they'll do here is they will offer coconut to god Varuna. Varuna is called as sea god. They'll start praying of the sea god, and people also worship the sea. and they offered prayers so that God keeps them safe while they are out of the sea. If whenever they are going for fishing into this water, so before starting of this fishing season, as soon as after this monsoon season, they'll do this festival, guys. And actually, this Narali Purnima is a ceremonial day which is observed by Hindu fishing communities in Maharashtra, particularly around this Mumbai and Konkan coast, and is held on full moon day of Hindu month Shravan, which falls around July or August. And people also prepare their traditional food, which includes coconut rice and narli bhat or coconut rice, and they will offer for this god Varuna. Okay, so what are the activities they will do? They will worship to sea god Varuna in this festival, and they will make some sweet coconut rice, especially on this occasion, and they offer drop coconut to sea to worship. So they will also offer coconuts to this sea, and people also sing songs, especially devotional songs, and as well as they will also dance together across this coast on this festival. Okay. Yeah, let us see the next article. See this title. Very important article of the day. Russia is not Iran. India cannot halt oil imports on demand. So again, first article and this article is having certain link, guys. Okay. So here what we discussed, Russia is very important, all weather friends, and we are getting defense and as well as oil normally from this Russia. So actually here the statement says that Russia is not Iran. And one more country came here. So this article is saying that Russia is not equal to Iran. So why not equal to Iran? So if you see the location of Iran, where it is? In this it is West Asia part, right? And these West Asian countries are good at oil reserves. That means India can get this oil from this Iran, right? Because Iran is very near, it is part of Asia, so there is very less distance. So we can use these waterways and we can import this oil from Iran. So actually earlier we used to import lot of oil from Iran. So Iran was one of the important source of oil for India. But now we are not importing anything from Iran. So we made our imports zero from this Iran. So why? Because again US and Iran are rival countries. US and Iran are again rival countries. To hit this economy of Iran, so US came up with CAATSA Act. CAATSA Act during this Trump 1.0 era. Whenever this Trump became president for the first time, so at that time to hit Iran economically, US came up with this CAATSA Act. So CAATSA Act is very much similar to this Russia Sanction Act. So CAATSA is nothing but countering American adversaries through Sanction Act. That means if any country, if it is doing trade with American adversary countries, then that countries will attract sanctions. So with this fear of attracting of sanctions from this US, if you are getting oil from Iran, so India made its import zero because of that fear. But now the same thing US came up with one more act, that is Russia Sanction Act of 2025, and now it said that if any country which is directly doing trade with Russia, we are going to impose 500% of tariff. So now actually India earlier used to have fear regarding this CAATSA and we made our imports to zero. And now again threat to India regarding oil. If you are getting from Russia, again we are going to impose sanction. So these CAATSA and this Russian Sanction Act are similar in their objectives. They want to hit the economy of US rival countries. Okay, so now here this article is saying that Russia is not equal to Iran. So earlier, because of this fear of sanctions, we reduced our imports from Iran. But we can't do this same with this Russia. That is our Indian government stand. Have you understood now? So here, this is not for the first time US came up with this kind of sanctions. It is second time. Earlier we have CAATSA and now we have Russia Sanction Act. And now India is very clear that we are not going to do the same with Russia as we did in this Iran. Okay. So now let us see why. What are the reasons? Please make a note, it's very, very important. So here the statement which is given by our Indian officials that Russia is not Iran. India cannot halt oil imports from on demand. Okay, so why? Because US is imposing tariffs aiming to curb its purchase of Russian oil as well as broader geopolitical and economic dynamics at play. So India is saying that India is having strategic autonomy. So India is a democratic country and we have our own foreign policies. How US can dictate what India should do or which countries with which we can do the trade. That is the thing which mainly said by India. And actually this article is saying clearly that India faced significant maximum US pressure to reduce oil imports from Iran during this Trump administration. Especially between this 2018 and 2020, we had at most pressure from this US to decrease our imports of oil from this Iran. And why? Because US withdrawal from this Iran's nuclear deal, and US and as well as Iran, they are two rival countries. So finally here by 2019, to avoid US sanctions under this CAATSA, we reduced our imports from this Iran and we made it to zero. So here if you are decreasing our imports from Iran, we have to search for other countries, right? So we can't sustain without oil. So at that time, with which countries we had agreement? So we went to Saudi Arabia and we went to Iraq, and from these countries we started importing of oil after this making of imports of zero from this Iran. And later on, here unlike Iran, Russia is long-standing strategic partner. So actually the relationship between India and Iran was like, we used to get only oil and we went for development project called as Chabahar port in Iran. Other than that, we don't have that much good relations with this Iran. Only we used to get oil and we want Iran to reach Afghanistan. So those are the two important aims and objectives of Iran, why we are doing friendship with Iran. So but it is not the case with Russia, right? So we want Russia because we are getting that discounted price. No country is giving that much less price of oil except Russia. So for that we need, and even we are getting critical hardware systems like S-400 Triumph missile and even BrahMos missile. It is a development of both Russia and India together. And not only that, in international organizations, for example, United Nations Security Council or any other organization, always Russia will support India. So we need that kind of countries which support India. Okay. So because of this, yes, we can't. And even Russia is a permanent member of United Nations Security Council. And actually India wants to become permanent member. That means permanent members need to give support for India. So if we are coming away, or if you are breaking relations with Russia, means obviously India's entry into this United Nations Security Council as a permanent member will become like a dream only. It will not come into reality. So for that, this article said that, so whatever the pressure US will keep on India, we can't cut ties with Russia because Russia is very important for India. It is not like Iran. So Russian crude oil, which accounts for approximately 40% of India's crude oil imports, and actually here they are giving at a very, very cheap price, very, very discounted price. And if you want to get from either Saudi Arabia or if you want to get from Iraq or any other country, they will not give at that discounted price. And actually West Asian countries, they are part of OPEC. So OPEC will decide like how much amount of oil they have to produce and how much amount of oil they have to trade. And Russia is part of OPEC plus, not OPEC. So because of this, if there are any changes in OPEC, now it will be having impact on India if we stop getting oil from Russia. So again, that will be having impact on our Indian security, energy security. So if we are not getting oil, so we can't go for transportation, we can't go for logistics, we can't go for trade, we can't go for proper production. For everything, this oil is very, very important. Actually, crude oil is engine of our economy. Okay. So because of this, this article clearly said that no, we can't. Okay, clear? And even one more problem here is crude oil is nothing but it is not filtered form. So directly whatever the rock they are getting from the sedimentary rock, they will send. And after once we get that, so we have to send it to oil refineries and we have to filter. So actually Venezuela, do you know this Venezuela? So Venezuela is the country which is the top most producer of oil in the world. It is having lots of oil reserves. But the problem with this Venezuela is in that crude oil, they have sulfur components. But what are the infrastructure that is present in our India that is not suitable for refine that kind of high sulfur related crude oil? So actually whatever the crude oil that we are getting from Russia, it is having less impurities, and with that the refineries also have less cost to refine that. Okay, so because of this always we will think from maximum profitization, right? So less price we have to get and less cost to refine and more benefit for the people. Okay, or else if there is increasing of at least 1 rupee or 2 rupees of diesel or petrol prices, it will be having impact on our whole economy. Okay, clear? So that is the thing which mainly said here. And now let us see the next article. Title says industrial accidents, the human cost of indifference. So actually recently lots of industrial accidents are happening in India. So what are they? Firecracker industries burst. Tamil Nadu region, Sivakasi area. And next recently pharmaceutical plant in Hyderabad blast, and many people they killed, and even do you know one of our relative was also there in that death, and even we didn't find any traces of that person. Yes, that happened. And we our relatives they are before this plant for 20 to 25 days, but even at last they didn't get any evidence. Even they did for DNA test also, but nothing evidence they got. Okay, so here lots of impacts that are happening in this industrial disaster. Apart from that, what was a major disaster which happened in this India regarding industries? Bhopal gas tragedy. Next. Another examples in the world, Chernobyl, nuclear disaster. It is also nuclear disaster. Next. So recently in AP, Escalenta company blast. So here in India, we have lots of disasters which happens in these industries. So what happens whenever disaster happens? It will cause us loss of life, loss of property, and next is environmental damage. Yes, because in industries we'll use heavy metals, chemicals that will cause soil pollution or air pollution or entire environmental pollution it can cause. And even that will cause us burden on the government. Government have to give ex gratia, like for example, they'll give 2 lakhs or 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs for the person who died in that so and so event, right? So here this article is saying that industrial disasters are happening, not only human cost is happening, but even lots of negative impacts are happening because of this disaster. So now let us see here. So this article which mainly highlights that whenever we are neglecting workplace safety, why these industrial disasters happen? Because of negligence, because of lack of safety equipments in that so and so industries, that will leads to human toll. So whenever the humans are dying, that will leads to physical trauma. Sometimes complete death not happen, sometimes injuries will happen, sometimes amputation will happen, that is removal of leg or removal of hands, like that. That will be having physical trauma. And the family who lost their persons or who lost their family members, they will be having overall emotional trauma and even mental trauma and financial distress. So all these are involved in this disaster. So this article is saying that what are the causes? The first one is human errors. So especially normally in industries, rather than skilled person, they will try to recruit unskilled people, unskilled labor force. Why? Because they are cheap. They will get cheap labor. So if you are recruiting unskilled labor, then what happens? Can we ensure safety? Can they know how to operate the equipments? So here that is one important reason. So human error is one of the important cause for this disasters. About 90% of fatal accidents involve human factors, especially unskilled labor are involving here. And next one here is inadequate safety procedures. So we have to focus on proper audits and we have to go for regular inspection of that machines, everything. So if you're not going for proper audits and if you're not going for proper maintenance of equipments, that will cause disaster. And next one is equipment failure. So if there are any poor maintenance and deep water horizon example that led to this event. And next one is globalization. So pro-globalization policies increase accident livelihood by 54% due to cost cutting. So before globalization, whatever the policies that we have, For example, in India also, we have policies which are of British time. So recently we discussed about Coastal Maritime Bill, which was in 1925, and now we are updating it with 2025. So like that, here IPC CRP is year of older age, but now again we had revamped with this BSS, BNSS, right? So what are the acts which are present in almost all countries they are before this globalization? And after globalization, what happens? So country to country interaction. Globalization is nothing but each and every country is interconnected with other countries. Now Indians are working in other countries, yes or no? And other country people are coming India and they are working in India, and they are coming either for education or either for medical tourism or economy, whatever it may be. So because of this globalization, the interconnectedness between the countries also had been improved. But whatever the policies that we have, they are of pre-globalization or pre-industrialization era. So now we have to go for revamping of acts and policies which are present across the globe so that we can ensure safety environments in industries. And next one is always there will be regulatory and as well as management negligence. So that is one of the example for this Bhopal gas tragedy in India. Always industries they will focus on profit maximization rather than focusing on the safety of the workers. That is one important reason. And next one is what are the economic costs because of this disaster? Obviously that will lead to increasing of medical expenses and compensations for the people who died or who injured. And next one is indirect cost, like what happens? So again, if they want to revamp that so and so industry, they have to again invest in infrastructure, again new place, new development. And initially what happens, do people have confidence in them? Trust will be eroded. So because of that, what happens? There is low productivity and low trust and equipment damage. Everything causes indirect economic cost to that company. And next one is societal cost. That means work related cancers they can get, because if workers they will come in contact with this chemicals, hazardous material during this blast, then what happens? It will causes cancer, and even public trust can be eroded. So people will not come forward to work in that company again. So like that we'll be having social cost as well. And what are the measures we have to take? The first one is we have to come up with the new laws, regulations which are according to new era demands. And based on that, we can go for strict implementation of laws, and we have to maintain proper standards, and we have to go for proper auditing mechanism, proper inspection. And whenever we are coming up with new equipment, so we have to go for proper training of people. Skilled workers need to operate that. And next one here is we have to encourage reporting near misses, and as well as we have to prioritize safety. So if there is any problem in that equipment, they have to come and directly inform to the authority rather than going and repairing that. And next one here is legal accountability. We have to ensure fair compensation, support from government and as well as from that so and so industry point of view. And next one is we have to focus on proper supporting system like counseling, community aid, everything during these times of disaster. Okay, so these are the things that we can take so that we can decrease this disasters and disaster related trauma in India. So these are the important topics that appear in today's Hindu newspaper. By this I'm concluding. Thank you so much guys for watching, and please do like this class and share this class. By this, I want to make a small announcement. If you want to take either online or offline GS foundation course, you're always welcome. You can visit our academy which is located in Ashok Nagar, exactly above Vikas Book Center, 2nd and 3rd floor, Hyderabad. Or else if you want to talk to me directly, you can call me on this number 8074765513. And you can follow us on Instagram where we are providing everyday one prelims question with answer and as well as mains question with answer, and also current affairs in short. Thank you so much guys for watching.